to the show, everybody. So good to be here with you today. Thank you again for your many emails, comments, questions, and part of today's show is answering a lot of the questions that have come in and synthesizing them into one answer for one show today about the MCAT, psychology, sociology section, the psychological, social, and behavioral foundations of behavior section, again, often called the psychology, sociology section of the MCAT. Many of you tune in are already college students, you have children in college, and because I am a medical school admissions counselor as well, besides being college, I do both, and because my center that I own, found, and teach at, we also do MCAT prep. I'm going to focus today's show based on all the questions that have been coming in about how increasing one's chance of getting into medical school. When I work with college students, we often start the medical school process in their freshman year, getting things ready, getting things together for their research opportunities, for their recommendation letters going to need, to make sure, just like we do with high school students, make sure there's a track record and they've shown medical schools that they have thoroughly invested their time, energy in the medical field, that they are prepared to succeed in medical school, in addition to, of course, their fantastic MCAT scores they will need. Top schools usually looking for high scores over the 515, the aggregate on the MCAT total. And what those scores mean, if you want to set up a consultation with me, I could discuss with you our MCAT program we have, both virtually and in person. But today we're going to focus on one section that I get a lot of questions on. The MCAT psychology, sociology section. For short, the long name, the official name of the section is the psychological, social, and behavioral foundations of behavior section of the MCAT. I, besides being a professional college admissions coach, educator, and medical school admissions coach, I also teach the MCAT, the psychology, sociology section, as well as the CARS section, the critical analysis, the reading section. But today we're going to focus on the psychology section, since so many of you have questions about it, and because often I see with my students here at the center I founded and own, the Cambridge Learning College Planning Center of New Jersey, we have so many questions about the psychology section. One of the big concepts to understand is that the section often has content on it, on the MCAT, that a lot of this material is introduced in college, in psychology courses, and even in AP psychology in high school, but is not as deeply gone into as students have to know for the psychology and sociology section of the MCAT. I'm often asked, what's one thing I could really study to really be more prepared for that psychology, sociology section? And when we prepare our students here, and when I work with students, and when people ask me this, my first thing I often think of is focus on twin studies. There are many questions on this section about understanding twins. Part of the reason studying twins on a longitudinal basis for research is such an area of interest is because one of the core questions of all research, sociological research, medical research, is a central debate, the nature versus nurture debate. Are where students stand intellectually, academically, a result of their nurture, their upbringing, their genes. Most of the current research shows a mix of both, that both factors play in, and that's pretty much understood and agreed upon amongst most researchers, even in educational psychology, where my graduate degrees are in, graduate research is in. It is fairly agreed upon that those two factors play into the result of how people perform. College students, high school students, even adults. The question is always how much of each plays into it. And one of the the best ways to study this research is study twins. If two twins with the same genetic basis, same genetic foundation grow up in different environments, it's a great way to tell how much, and they end up in different places or similar places, comparing and contrasting where they are is a great way for researchers to weigh in on the nature versus nurture debate. And this is a big part of the psychological, social, and behavioral foundations of behavior section of the MCAT. So the first thing students should know listening, if you want to start preparing early outside of your class for the MCAT, start studying twin studies. Even online resources in PubMed and other research articles. Okay? So one thing you want to start is understanding monozygotic and dizygotic, fraternal twins, identical twins as monozygotic. Understand this distinction is very important in interpreting study results. You really should, when studying twin studies and for the MCAT section, review the concept of heritability, and which measures how much variation a trait can be attributed to genetics within a population. The heritability is a very big part of what you really want to understand when you really study twin studies and study the psychological basis of a lot of what you're going to get ready for the MCAT. You want to learn, in part of your preparation, how twin studies use concordance rates to compare the likelihood that both twins exhibit a specific trait. This helps many researchers really estimate genetic versus environmental contributions, the concordance rates. You really want to understand this and study this in depth. One of the studies that comes up a lot on this section here, the psychology, sociology section, which we're talking about here of the MCAT, is the Minnesota twin study. This really was something that provided really groundbreaking, amazing groundbreaking insights into the genetic base of personality, of intelligence, mental health, pretty much agreed upon across psychometric researchers as groundbreaking and hugely telling. So I recommend everybody listening in college, if you have a child in college, tell them on their own, not just what they get in class. Professors in classes have to move at a certain pace. They might not go as in depth to promote understanding as needed for the MCAT. So besides the Minnesota twin study, really, at the same time, they should understand the limitations of twin studies, shared environments for twins raised together. That's a limitation on twin study if they're raised in the same environment. Bias in selecting study participants. Bias is a big part of psychometric research. And so when doing your prep for the MCAT, you're studying twin studies, keep in mind of these limitations of environments, because two children raised in the same environment, often in the same environment can be a limiting factor. And when I see many years owning a learning center, being in education, one of the foundational concepts of understanding differences in performance of twins is self-concept. The way a person conceives of themselves that comes out of their relationships with their adults in their life. Self-concept is clearly a key part in understanding how the Rogerian concept of self-concept, how that factors into twin performance and twin studies. So when you're studying, you want to focus on applying these concepts when you're the abstract theory to real-world scenarios, understanding genetic predispositions, the mental health disorders, schizophrenia or addiction play into twin research as well. So there are practice questions on the MCAT. Questions on the MCAT you want to practice integrating this understanding that involve analyzing data from twin studies. There's a common feature on the MCAT on this psychology and sociology sections. You want to practice those questions, but you really have to understand the basis of those questions that's really asking you to evaluate these factors that I'm talking about as far as twin studies, environmental factors, and even the other factors we're mentioning here. Okay, so when we talk about these factors and you want to supplement your knowledge with articles or videos about real twin study findings to make the material relatable and memorable for you as you're studying, and you go to apply it on the MCAT section. So with heritability, again, that factor is huge. You really want to understand it and understand how much a trait can vary within a population with genetics. And when you think about twin studies, you really have to understand when you're studying them, why they're so attractive to researchers, and really understanding why they're making it important enough to put it in the psychology, sociological, and biological foundation of behavior as a future doctor to understand to treat somebody. A great way to help a patient can be to understand they're a twin, and if a doctor is treating the same family, he or she can compare the genetic basis, can compare things between two twin siblings to understand a lot about their patients. So when you are preparing for your MCAT in general, you should be understanding all of the psychology concepts, the theorists, the major theorists that play into medical research as part of your preparation, and understand behaviorism and all of the major theories that have come out of interpersonal psychology, even Freudian psychology. Just understand their foundations, understand the medical field, especially in today's world where we have school shootings and mental health issues. Doctors increasingly are going to be counted on, primary care doctors, to catch mental health problems at the forefront and when they meet patients, and to really tackle them, to understand that oftentimes what you're dealing with in patients with mental health issues are things that can be prevented by pushing patients as a doctor to get the right help. So your job as a future physician, as part of this, preparing for this section, also for your career, is to understand, again, the psychological basis for behavior and how that intersects with the biological foundations, to know the limitations on each and what you as a physician can do, and to use the other professionals in your field to help to leverage other professionals to help our society and help your patients. So again, the big takeaway for today is if you're preparing for the MCAT, preparing to get into medical school, the MCAT is never going away. It's not like the SAT in high school, which is test optional. The MCAT is never going away. There's too much at stake for the medical profession. We need the very people that can handle the rigor of the MCAT to be leading performers in the medical field. And you need to do well on this section. In addition to the CARS section, can be very challenging as well, which we teach here at Cambridge. I'm a teacher of, and studying these twin studies can inadvertently often help you in many ways with the CARS section, the reading section. So I hope today was helpful for those of you who are asking the comments, the questions about medical school. When students work with me and I'm urging them to prepare for the MCAT, we focus on twin studies as a great foundational tool to get ready for the MCAT. I hope that you are inspired today, those of you listening, to remember the nature versus nurture debate in all fields. Education, psychology, and in medicine is an ongoing debate. And if you're preparing for a career in the medical field, you want to definitely demonstrate in your essays that you understand this debate for your medical school applications, as questions come up that ask you to reference it, that you can reference it. So again, please get studying on your twin studies. And I hope today, again, was helpful for all of you. Have a fantastic day. Look forward to seeing you soon.